The next question we have is from Rahila Saiba from Canada. Jazakallah for your question, Rahila Saiba. And she starts off with asking, what is considered an Islamic name? Sometimes new converts take an Arabic name and it's their Muslim name. But seriously, it has to be more than that. What is Islamic about having an Arabic name anyway? Yes, the Quran is in Arabic, but still it's a religion for all people, looking at all, speaking all languages and not just Arabs. So, if someone converts, is there a need to change one's name on conversion? Tahir Selvi Saab, if I could come to you with that one.
Yes, well, the answer is no. You don't need to. It's your own choice. There's no one stopping you from keeping your former name. But obviously the purpose of a Muslim name is the meaning of the name. And this is what we look into. So when we are naming a child or a convert, we're trying to find a name which they can emulate within themselves. And so often they choose the Holy Prophets or the Sahaba's names. Now, of course, she's right in what she's saying. These were Arabic names. You know, there was before Islam. They already had the names.
The names were there.
But it's not that. It's the meaning of the names that we're looking into. And obviously, when we think about the names, especially those names from the Holy Quran or Allah's names and the Prophet's names, then we want to try to follow that. For instance, my name is Tahir. Tahir means pure. So I'm trying to come as pure as possible. And when I think of names for my children, I try to think of names which they can reflect on. All characters. I mean, you know, one of my sons, his name's Ibrahim, which is Abraham. So I would like him to follow Abraham's example. It's a wonderful example. So you think of names which can help the child or the person to try to emulate that thing. Unfortunately, sometimes the spellings gets corrupted and it becomes very difficult to understand which name it is. So it is also very important that when you do get a Muslim name, you find out what is actual spelling and how you pronounce the name and look to what the meaning is. And then try to, like I say, follow that name and be that name as much as possible. So this is why we give a Muslim name. Otherwise, a name is a name. And anybody can call you by any name you wish to name. But it's good. I mean, normally when we're given a name, my previous name, there's no real meaning. Although I've kept one name, which is Peter, which is the rock. And it was also one of the disciples of Jesus. So I felt it was a good name. It was a good person, and I will keep that name. So that's up to yourself what names you want to be called. But obviously many times we get a name and they start shortening it and giving it half a name and things like this. So the purpose is to reflect over the name, think about the meaning, and then try to follow that as best as possible.
I mean, as a sort of small sort of amusing aside, quite often you hear names being given and then all kinds of nicknames emerging from that. You know, I remember Khalifa Rabi once saying, it's only when I pronounce the nikahs of some of my family I actually realise what their actual names are, because we haven't been used to calling. But so here's a situation where someone has converted to Islam. There's no compulsion in changing the name. It's a matter of choice.
She can change her first name, she can change both names, or she can keep her name. It's up to them. And like, for instance, I've kept my surname, Selby. It's my family name. So I feel, keep that name. Why not? So I changed one name. The name was given to me, and I thought about it. And I thought, yes, that's a very good name, and I'll keep that name. And other names I've decided to keep. So that's up to your choice. You see Muslims, some of them, like I say, they change one name. Sometimes they change both names. Sometimes they don't change any name. It's really up to the individual.
Jahangir Saab, if I come to you on this, it is a big ask, and certainly not prevalent in the Ahmadiyya community, but elsewhere where you must change your name of demonstration of love or whatever. And some people, you put it on yourself. If you've grown up with a particular name, and you know what, I quite like my name, why should you have to change it?
Well, not everyone does. My mother, for example, was a Catholic before. She became an Ahmadi Muslim, and she asked the fourth Khalifa, rahimahullah, should I change my name? So he asked her, what's the meaning of your name? She said, it means noble. He said, well, then leave it. And so she's kept her name. She didn't take on a Muslim name. It's not necessary. We have to also remind people that the names of the Muslims in the beginning were names from before Islam. They weren't Muslim names. They were names that came into Islam. The third point I'd like to make is that not all names given to people in Islam are Arabic anyway. A lot of the names are Persian. A lot of the names are Turkish. You'll have a Turkish name like Arsalan, for example. You'll have Persian names like Parvez, Asmahan, names like that. Khurshid. Those are Persian names. So the premise is a little bit off the mark. Not all Muslim names are of an Arabic origin anyway. And these names are used all over the Muslim world. You will find Arabs who are called Jihan, which is a Persian name. And you will find Persians who've got Arabic names. You will find Turks who've got Arabic names. And you'll find Arabs who have Turkish names. So it really isn't anything to do with Arabic, although a lot of the names of the first Muslims are taken on by people out of love for those people, obviously. So there is a predominance of Arabic names, you have to admit. But other languages also come into play. And in some countries, people who are Muslims have sometimes never taken on Arabic names at all. They've kept their own names, but they're Muslim. So this is how it goes along. In Indonesia, for example, that will be the case in many instances. People who have just a pure Indonesian name, and many of them only have one name. They don't even have a family name there. It's not their custom. But it's not an Islamic name, and it doesn't make any difference. The main thing is it mustn't have any idolatrous links to it at all. If it has anything to do with idolatry, then it would be changed. The Holy Prophet Muhammad ﷺ himself changed the names of people. When they became Muslim and they had an idolatrous name, he said, no, your name isn't that, now your name is this. And so he actually gave them a name which was better, and which is according to the unity of the oneness of God.
Jazakallah and Rahila Saiba, I hope your question has been answered. I think it has, very much so, by both Tahir Saab and Jahangir Saab.